Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Want to welcome you all back to another segment of Going Solo. This time we are ranking the debut solo releases of Pink Floyd. Now, when you look at the members of Pink Floyd and the albums that they released as having solo careers, compared to the releases from the members of Genesis, there are not that many albums. I mean, David Gilmour just released Luck and Strange, his fifth solo release on September 6th. And he's been releasing solo albums back to 1978. So when you look at the debut of the releases from the members of Genesis compared to the members of Pink Floyd, there is a vast difference there. So what I've done is I've put together my list of the debut solo releases for the members of Pink Floyd. Coming in at number 5, we have Nick Mason's Fictitious Sports, released May 1st, 1981. The album was produced by Nick Mason and Carla Bley, I believe it's pronounced, Bley. Carla Bley is, or was a, sorry, rest in peace, Carla Bley. She was an improvisational jazz artist, band leader. The album Fictitious Sports was supposed to come out in 1979, but due to certain delays for unforeseen reasons, the album came out 2 years later after its completion. All the music on the album was written by Carla Bley. Nick Mason said he was looking for a musical idea and to some songs to record and ideas, and he felt that Carla's work fit into exactly what he wanted to do. Uh, the album is strong musically, very, um, I would call it avant-garde jazz. It's listed as progressive rock, jazz, fusion, Canterbury sound. I would call it more avant-garde. Um, you have such musicians on the album, sorry, as Robert Wyatt, who contributes vocals to all of the tracks. Musically, it's not an album that I would go back to. It's pretty much too far left for me. With such songs as Can't Get My Motor to Start, I Was Wrong, Siam, Hot River, Do Ya, and I'm a Minimalist. I mean, it's good in terms of the instrumentation on it, but it's just not an album that I would go back to listen to, you know. Coming in at number 4, we have The Madcap Laughs by Syd Barrett. This is his debut solo album released on January 2nd, 1970. Everyone knows the story of Syd Barrett, forming Pink Floyd with Roger Waters, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason. He was pretty much the driving force, sorry, of Pink Floyd, having written all the songs on The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Would soon have issues with um, drug intake and pretty much have a mental breakdown and basically was ousted out of Pink Floyd. Although one of his tracks does appear on Full Secrets, the follow-up album. The Madcap Labs was produced by Barrett, David Gilmour, Roger Waters, Malcolm Jones, and Peter Jenner. And in terms of the album, it's listed as psychedelic rock, experimental. It is pretty much experimental, even with the instrumentation, with songs like Terrapin, No Good Trying. Um, it's okay. It's all right. I mean, it's sort of like a continuation of The Piper of the Gates of Dawn for me musically. David Gilmour and Roger Waters do contribute with production, and Gilmour does play bass and plays drums on a track called Octopus. But musically, eh, oh boy, it's okay. It's okay. Um, it isn't one I would go back to listen to often. I'd listen to it more than say Fictitious Sports from Nick Mason, but I would not um, rush to listen to it again. There are 15 tracks on the album. Um, and the cover, shot taken by Mick Rock, iconic cover that is. Um, it is an album of its time. Okay. It is what it is. You know, that's number four. Coming in at number three, we have Richard Wright with Wet Dream. Wet Dream was released originally September 22nd, 1978, produced by Richard Wright, released on Columbia Records. This was recently reissued with a Stephen Wilson remix in 2023 with a brand new cover, as you can tell, that I put up. 10 tracks, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. There are, let me see, there are 6 instrumentals and 4 tracks with vocals. Beautiful album, fantastic work. Songs of note, Mediterranean Sea, uh, Cat Cruise, Summer Elegy, Waves, my favorite track on the album, last track on side one, Holiday, uh, Pink Song, Funky Do, which is another instrumental. Uh, First of all, the guitar work from Snowy White on this album is stellar. Beautiful, thick, rich guitar tone. The work from Mel Collins from King Crimson, sax work is phenomenal, phenomenal. Waves for me is very powerful for a track. It's beautifully arranged, memorable melody line that keeps repeating. Beautiful chords that come in. Just an amazing album. For me, the reason why it's number three, I hate to say this, Richard Wright's vocals. It for me, it kills it. It kills it. He's a fantastic musician, great piano player, great keyboard player. As a vocalist, he's he's weak. I'm sorry to say. And I hate saying it because I have all the respect for him in the world. I think he's fantastic. And it's a shame that we lost him in 2008. But that's why this album for me is number three. Really, it does kill it. If you do want to get the 2023 reissue, again, it is a remix done by Stephen Wilson, and it is fantastic. So please check that out. That's number three. Coming in at number two, we have David Gilmour with his self-titled release. Released March 26, 1978. Produced by Gilmour. This album is fantastic. The reason why Gilmour did this album, at the time they were taking a break after the tour with the Animals album and the debacle that happened at in Montreal at the one show where Roger Waters spit in a fan's face. The reason why Gilmour said he wanted to release an album was because he wanted to step out from behind, sorry, the shadow of Pink Floyd. To him, it was a matter of self-respect. And guys, he bloody delivers. I mean, it's an amazing mix of rock and blues, very heavy guitars. Songs of note are Mihalis, if I say that correctly, the opening instrumental. Beautiful, thick guitar tone on this. The one single that was released from the album, the second track, There's No Way Out of Here, was a cover track. It basically flopped in the UK, but it garnered him attention here in North America. I was going to say in the US. I'm in Canada. I'm sorry, in the US and in North America. Uh, Pretty much, you played on FM radio at the time quite a bit and still is. this album, and the tracks from this album are still played. Other songs I note on the album, So Far Away, Short and Sweet, which was co-written by Roy Harper. Raise My Rent, the instrumental, fantastic. And No Way is another good track. Definitely the last instrumental on the album, track number 8, just amazing. Heavy as all get out. Um, he is a heavy hand on the guitar, David Gilmour, but he has such finesse in his playing and his approach that it is just simply beautiful. This album is great. I re-listened to it for this ranking, and my opinion of it has changed. When I first listened to it, I was a little okay, dismissive about it. But listening to it for this ranking, it is a fantastic album. It is, and it's beautiful, and um, yeah, it should get more attention. This should get an actual. I'm not sure if there was a re-release of it, but there should be a re-release if there isn't of this album with a good remaster of it and a good maybe even a Steven Wilson remix of it. Um, yeah, that's number 2. Coming in at number 1, big surprise, Roger Waters with The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. Released April 30th, 1984, produced by Roger Waters and Michael Kamen, who had stepped in for Richard Wright, who was fired from Pink Floyd after the release of The Wall. This album, when it came out, I remember seeing the video for The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking. Uh, just an interesting video. First of all, it, you know, people could say it's very easy for me to pick this album as number 1, but when you look at the album and when you look at the music on it and the concept behind it, first of all, it is a concept album dealing in real time from 4:30 a.m. to 5:11 a.m. During a dream cycle that an individual is going through. And he's dreaming about, you know, things he wants to do in his life, pretty much having a midlife crisis. And everything that happens throughout the course of the album happens within this dream cycle, this sleep sequence that he's going through. Um, all the songs are segued into one another. And this is Roger Waters at his best in terms of his challenging uh, stereotypes, challenging life, not accepting what is given to you in life and questioning everything around you, questioning your own values, your own morality, your own sense of right and wrong, whatever you want to call it, in life. And it is done brilliantly. It really is. I've listened to this album quite a few times, and I need to give it more attention. And I don't want to say respect because I respect the hell out of this album. But out of the 5 albums on this list, this one had to be number 1, hands down. As good as David Gilmour's solo album is, this album, The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, takes, the gold star or platinum star in terms of concept and in terms of playing and in terms of overall presentation of the album. The iconic uh, drawing of the naked woman, with the backpack on her back. Obviously, I wasn't going to put the naked one, for fear of concern of YouTube yanking the video, but you can get the album in any way you want, okay? But this album made a mark. And I think what this album, no, I know from what I've read over the past few months, a couple of years, that with this album, he wanted to separate himself from Pink Floyd. Full stop. He felt that this album uh, could have been the next Pink Floyd album. What happened was, sorry, if you guys don't already know, what happened was at the end of the Animals tour or In the Flesh tour, Roger Waters, came up with two concepts and wrote out ideas for two albums. One was The Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, and the other one was Bricks in the Wall. He presented these ideas to the band and said, "This is what we can do. I'm going to do one of these as a solo project. You can pick which ones you want, which one you want to do as a Pink Floyd project." And again, his domination over Pink Floyd at this point was absolute. There was no question as to who they thought were in charge. He thought he was in charge. So the band picked The Wall. He shelved this pros and cons album idea for the time being. And then he took it out and finished it as a solo project. However, on the album, you have playing with him Eric Clapton. Okay. Just amazing guitars, fantastic, blues oriented, guitars, beautiful. And this album did make an impact, you know, for diehard Floyd fans. This video, the video for Personal Cons of Hitchhiking, was all over Much Music in Canada when it came out. And I'm sure it was all over MTV in the US when it came out. And David Gilmour would go on to say that Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking was stronger musically than The Wall. I don't know if I go that far, but again, he performed on The Wall, so he can give his opinion, obviously. For me, this album, Pros and Cons of Hitchhiking, had to be number one on this list. This is a phenomenal album. Very good, smart concept, and just fantastic. It needs to be said that when Eric Clapton toured with Roger Waters on certain parts of the tour, he had told him and the rest of the band, Roger Waters told him and the rest of the band, "I don't want any extra soloing. I don't want any extended sections. I don't want any improv. I want you to play it the way it is on the album. I don't want any flash or dash. I want it strictly as it is on the album." And I believe his name is Tim Renwick, one of the second guitarist. Although he had or has, sorry, tremendous respect for Roger Waters as a musician, he felt that being restricted to only playing the way the songs were done on the album, left little room for surprise or joy, you know, because when you play songs in concert, you obviously will go off. If you're a guitarist, you obviously go off and do, a little solo here and there, a little embellish here and there. Even as a keyboard player or as a drummer, you'll do an extra fill or a drum solo. Roger Waters didn't want that. For this album, he wanted to come out very seriously and just do this album the way it was supposed to be done, the way it was done in the studio, and the way he envisioned it. So for Tim Renwick and also for Eric Clapton, it did take a lot of the spontaneity out of the whole experience. So there you have it, guys. Going solo, ranking the debut solo albums of Pink Floyd. Please put in the comments down there, down below, what you think or what you feel are your favorite debut solo albums from the members of Pink Floyd, past and I guess you should say present. Anyways, please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. I've got more shows coming up in the near future, and I'm gonna get them done along with Bill Schuster and Ken Cheshire and Jim Bricker as quickly as we can, and we can get them out to you. And please look after yourselves and one another. I'll see you soon with another video. Bye for now.